Hi, I'm Andrew Armstrong and welcome to the Back Office Teardown Lab. You might recognise these. These are the Bloc blinds I bought, and I reviewed them in a video quite a while back, but you can find that if you have a quick look for it. And basically they were roller blinds that automatically retract and extend to block out all the light in your room. And the position on mine is really inaccessible, right? So that's why I kind of like the idea of these solar powered ones that had a remote control. So they arrived quite promptly and everything, and I fitted them all up, and there was a small flaw on one of them. Actually, I did report that. I did find out what that was. They've got these black beads that run around the edge that kind of keep them in the guide, and one of them, the bead had got caught and it literally jammed up the machine and ripped the corner off the fabric. But that's not really the main complaint I've got, because the main complaint was in order to get these, well, after about 2 or 3 months of use, they just seem to stop. And when I say use, I think generally I left them closed. In the summer I left them closed most of the time, but then when I sort of started to use them, I could hear the motors labouring. So I contacted the company and had to the answer was basically to take them down and send them back for repair or inspection. And the problem is, it's and these are 1 million miles up in your ceiling. It's not always convenient to do that. And by the time you do go to take them down, they actually don't really want to come down. They've got these adhesive things that kind of stick them to your frame a little bit, as well as these various clips. And you can see actually there, it's kind of slightly mauled because it fits into something of the on the window, and there's screws, all sorts. Lots of stuff that you have to do on the end of a ladder, or pay somebody, unfortunately, to go up there and do it. So I popped this down, and while I'm waiting for a response from the RMA for the email, I thought, okay, let's electrically see what's going on with this. So I took out one of the batteries, and it was a bit, again, everything's bloody glued in on these, but you can see there's a bit glue there, a bit glue there. You can pop the cell out, and it's basically a nickel metal hydride cell with 10 cells. It's a battery with 10 cells in it, and it has 2 ends. One is an end with a fuse that goes to the motor. So internally in the motor, it has all of the remote control gubbins, basically. And I can see there's a little something on there. There's probably a little button there, a little learn button, something like that. And there's probably some end stops and end limits and ways of setting that up. Again, they don't give you the instructions on that. You'd have to really Google those things, but we could probably find you a part number. It says DC Venetian blinds drive. I'll go Google that. And this is the actual battery. And then when I put a meter on the battery was totally dead. So I was like, well, how is this totally dead, considering it's basically a solar trickle charge and it's sitting there? So I took my tools and I first did a quick probe of the solar cell. And as far as I could tell, let's try this right now. There's the solar cell there pointing up, and you can see our meter there is currently floating around 3 millivolts. It's floating basically. And then when I put the old probes on, the voltage probes, come on, there you go, 13.2 volts. So you are seeing voltage from that solar cell for sure. And I'm going to try to cover it over, and you can see it's dropped down 3 volts. So there is voltage there. So that kind of implies that that's working. And then I just thought about the nature of this cell, because I think there could be a flaw in this design. So 10 AA NIMH batteries, basically what we've got in here, which are heat shrunk. And I can promise you, all you've got is the solar coming into here, and it's just got probably a diode. There's going to be something in there. There'll be a single diode. In fact, look, does that look like a diode to you? I'm going to have a look. I don't think there's rocket science going on here. Let's have a look inside there under the thing. Okay, I can't quite see. There's a bit of heat shrink over something, but I bet there's a bit of heat shrink over a diode. And that's just it. It's just they're both connected straight to the battery. So these are effectively in parallel. In fact, we can test that again. Let's test our hypotenuse. So we've got our buzzers. I'm going to put that on the positive on that end. Let's see if we can get the positive on this end. Now remember, we said there is a diode here, probably in the positive. Nope. Let's try the other way around. No, I'm not seeing anything. Not seeing anything. So that's the negatives. Right, so we got your negatives. We got something. Positive. 0. Just turn around the polarity. 0. Okay, not quite sure. Maybe a bit mixed up on that one. I'll have to check that out later if we decide to chop this open. But what I did though, I actually popped some wires on my NIMH charger, because I actually have a battery charger. And what I did last night was I had it hooked up and let it trickle charge, and it basically didn't take much current, to be honest with you. It was really weird. If we measure here now, the current voltage of this pack is 11.5554. It's sort of jumping around a bit. And if I plug it in, I suspect we'll just get some life. Now, the really super mega annoying part of all of this, right, is the taking down the whole blinds for servicing. If it turns out, I heard it running then. If it turns out it is just the battery pack, then that's a bloody awful thing to do, because you've got to tell your customers to just pop out the whole thing, massive unit. And it's just sort of assuming, it doesn't make sense, does it? Any customer who can open and shut this by bloody hand is probably not going to fit it in a place. It's probably not going to buy the expensive ones. The people who are going to buy the expensive motorised ones are those who bloody can't get to the stupid thing. So to have them have to take down the whole thing just to send them back for servicing. Oh, there you go. Oh, you could... That sounds so weak. That sounds so weak. That's definitely a shot battery, look. Yeah, crap. So there you go. That, I think, is the flaw of the design. I think what happens is that the trickle charger just sits there. There's no current limiter on it. It's putting it over at whatever is the rate of charge of a should be of a NIMH. Is probably like 0.1 coulombs or something. It's probably like on a sunny day, just trying to pump in as much as it can, and the battery just sits there cooking. So unless you're actually there actively driving this thing like nuts every day, like 2 or 3 operations to make sure that the battery is actually discharging, so there's capacity for the solar to charge, you're going to get into trouble. So I'm at a quandary now. I'm still waiting for the RMA where to send this back. I suspect it's almost on its period of out of warranty, or I'll just say, look, here are the batteries. Send me back 2 of these, because these are definitely shot. And even when I get these back, I'm going to build between here and here probably a charge bloody a current limiter. I mean, that's probably all you need on this stupid thing. But come on, guys, you're pretty much, I think, the authority on this bloody unit right now. I think the only, unless we start going to like Spain, China, wherever, and just start sourcing the parts just directly, Bloc Blinds, I think, is the only one right now who's kind of got them, supplying them in Europe. So just sort this out. I mean, the recalls alone on all this must be a fortune. It's a fortune, a waste of time for your customer to take them down and send them to you, and a bloody fortune for you to send them back. So go on then, guys. I'll leave the ball in your court. Now, if boys and girls at home, what are your views on these? Is there any way? I think we can actually just have LiPo in here, can't we, and put a proper solar charging circuit. There's something very disturbing about this design. Okay, I just had an update from Bloc, and they said to send them the blinds, the entire thing, including all the, you can hear them here, the side rail pieces. So it's quite a parcel has to go back, but I thought, okay, let's send it back and we'll see what they have to say is the problem, which is interesting enough. So I'm going to send back the batteries, the remotes, everything. I'm going to fit these in. I haven't told them I've taken them apart. I don't think we've broken any rules. We've not destroyed anything. We'll just put everything back as standard. And the one thing I'll need to do is highlight. There was one of these where the black thing ripped the fabric, and I'll make note of that one, which one it was, so that we can see if that gets repaired as well. So let's send this to Bloc. I'm not going to release the video right now. I'm going to send it, and we'll wrap up the story and see what they say.